NFL legend Brett Favre is in the news for something like that it should be having more attention. So it's a Mississippi welfare scandal. As it states here, I'm gonna just read the article from the NYT. As he became further enmeshed in a scheme that diverted federal welfare money to build a volleyball stadium that cost more than $5 million at the University of Southern Mississippi, the former football star Brett Favre texted a question to the head of a nonprofit doling out funds meant to go to welfare recipients in the nation's poorest state. If you were to pay me, he wrote in 2017, of a $1.1 million proposal for promotional efforts, that would actually be funneled towards building the stadium. Is there any way the media could find out where it came from and how much? Several years of text messages about the project came to light when they were filed in court last week and were first published by Mississippi Today, the small nonprofit news site that has consistently led reporting first on the story. Far more than that payment has been exposed in a billowing scandal that has stretched considerably beyond Mr. Favre, a motley assortment of political appointees, former football stars, one time professional wrestlers, business figures, and various friends of the state's former Republican governor, all accused of pocketing or misusing money earmarked for needy families. On Thursday, John Davis, who served as executive director of the Mississippi Department of Human Services under former Governor Phil Bryant, pled guilty to both federal and state charges of embezzling federal welfare funds. Millions of dollars were transferred to friends and relatives, court documents say. According to a lawsuit filed by the state in May, around $5 million was diverted to Ted DiBiase. Yo, DiBiase's in on this. Hey, yo, Ted DiBiase? Oh man, say it ain't so. A flamboyant retired wrestler once known as the $1 million Man. Oh, not the $1 million Man. He's in on this too. Oh no. Oh man. And two of his sons, as well as various entities connected to them, including a ministry. Much of the money went to fictitious services, bogus jobs, first class travel arrangements, and even one son stay at a luxury rehab center in Malibu, California that cost $160,000. The suit claims. Jeez. Holy man. It's a bunch of it's not even just Brett Favre part of this. Goodness, this is it's a lot of people involved in it. Politicians, former wrestlers. Mm, mm. Similarly, the state claims that Marcus Dupree, a former high school football phenom and professional running back who was paid to act as a celebrity endorser and motivational speaker, did not perform any contractual services towards $371,000 he received to purchase and live in a sprawling residence with a swimming pool and adjacent horse pastured in a gated community. Mr. Favre, who earned more than $140 million in his Hall of Fame career, was paid $1.1 million for speeches he never gave. The suit said he also orchestrated more than $2 million in government funds being channeled to a biotechnology startup in which he had invested, according to the suit. None of the three have been charged with crimes and all have denied wrongdoing, but even the most cynical observers in Mississippi have been dumbfounded by the brazenness of the activity and the allegations and how deeply it reflected the inequities baked into the history of a state with the nation's highest poverty rate. So basically, all in all, something's got to give because we talking about government here. We ain't talking about no. We ain't just talking about no regular money laundering with no company. This is government money being given out to celebrities so they can use for whatever they want to use. And Brett Favre is at the top of the food chain for this thing. And if they don't treat this like the way they treated Colin Kaepernick, the way they treated what's dude's names? What's dude's name from the Ravens? You know, even though the coverage that they gave him was the spotlight needed to be put on him. Uh, uh, if they don't put the same spotlight that they did on Michael Vick to Brett Favre, then I'm gonna know. Then it's like like something is up. Like it's things are not getting treated the same. It's just like how that the player from the Seattle Seahawks was abusing his wife or whatever. The European gentleman who was a Seahawks player who was abusing his African American wife, that wasn't getting like no coverage. That was like getting none, like hardly even anything from ESPN or any of these sports forums. They were just like not talking about it. Like hello, he beat the hell out of his woman, and like y'all not talking about it. Why? Or the I can't remember. There was like it was some years back. The he was a football player he was a player with the Dolphins who, like, I believe he said some racist things to teammates or whatever or something like that, and there was like hardly any coverage on that. It was a European player again, and there was no coverage on it. It's like it seems like you get where I'm going with it. I don't what's said doesn't need to be explained. You know where I'm going with it. I don't need to explain it. If they don't give Brett Favre, like if Brett Favre doesn't get like if they don't relinquish his Hall of Fame thing with the NFL, if they don't like, I basically need some equality, some equal finger pointing, like the same way you give African American players the finger pointing, you know what I'm saying, and give them all this media coverage. Oh, hey, look at this African American player. We give him all this money, and this is what he does, right? Give that same thing to Brett. Brett. Brett needs that. We need to see some more coverage on Brett Favre. He literally took millions of dollars, millions of government dollars. So if anything, this got to be all over the news. Not even like, let's not even go back to what Brett Favre has been in the news for in the past. We don't got to talk about that. But millions of dollars, millions. This needs a lot of news coverage. This should be the most important thing that gets talked about. Seriously.
New details now surrounding
Seriously.
accusations that retired NFL quarterback Brett Favre used welfare funds to help build a new volleyball stadium at his alma mater, the University of Southern Mississippi, where his daughter played the sport. A former director of Mississippi's welfare agency, John Davis, has now pleaded guilty to federal and state charges that he conspired to misspend tens of millions of those welfare funds meant for the poorest families. And what is the poorest state in the U.S.?
It's crazy.
Text messages in a state court filing have shown Davis, Favre, and former Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant and others worked together to help secure millions in state money to build that stadium, which was a pet project of the former Super Bowl champion. Joining me now here is ABC News contributor and host of the Law and Crime Network, Brian Buckmar. Brian, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Gio.
So listen, one of those text messages from 2017 published by Mississippi Today, let's go ahead and show that to you. It shows that Brett Favre asked the head of a nonprofit handling welfare funds, quote, if you were to pay me, is there any way that the media could find out where it
But it's the fact that it's the fact that it was able to be hidden all the way up until now. 2017, what's that? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. That's like 5, 6 years. Like they were able to cover that up for like 5, 6 years, bro. That's crazy, man. That's crazy that it was that. Wow,
came from
it's
and how
crazy, bro.
much. So, given the evidence in the scandal, could Farve end up facing charges?
So we haven't gotten all of the evidence just yet, but what we see so far, there's a potential for charges. What I think the DOJ is going to
Potential,
do is probably take the people who have already pled guilty, that being
bro,
Nancy New, who pled guilty last
bro.
April, and as you said, John Davis, who just
He took government money and went and did what he wanted to do with it. How is he not going to get brought up on charges? How is he not going to get brought up on charges? There's no way. There's no way somebody takes government money, federal money, government money, and isn't going to receive a consequence. Like I don't care if he is like a Hall of Famer or he's European or whatever. He got the there's no way there's a slap on the wrist for this, bro. Or anybody else involved. Like everybody one thing about America is like everybody's gonna see their like if you've done something wrong and it's like a big major thing, everybody's gonna see the other side. The dark side of like justice that's for the like especially for like those families who didn't get that money like all those needy families that didn't get that money because somebody who's already a millionaire is using that money to go do what he wants with it. And not even just him, all the other people who took money and used some of that money and went and did what they wanted to do with it. Can you imagine somebody taking money that's supposed to be for less fortunate people and going to build a stadium for their daughter? It reminds me of like that woman actress who got caught with some other parents who paid to like get their kids put into like Ivy League schools. And then the funny part about that is that she did like a week in jail for that. Like, huh? I hope that's not the case here. Cuz like our justice system here is already BS. And if they do something to where like Brett Favre gets like I don't know, 2 weeks of jail or something like that, that would be crazy. That would be absolutely crazy. And it'll probably be something like where like, oh, like how like Tom Brady was in the news for like I believe he was in the news for like cheating on football games because of like the footballs being deflated or something like that, and the judge threw out the case because he likes Tom Brady and it's Tom Brady. Like, why would I do anything bad to Tom Brady? Tom Brady is like one of the best players in of all time. Like, why would I even, given celebrities like I don't like the fact that like there's judges out there that give celebrities this special treatment just because they are who they are. Like they're so above they are such a figure that they're so above like you know getting that type of like getting the finger pointed at them. Like I hope that's not the case here for real, bro. Like some got to give, bro.
just pled guilty. We have the text messages, but we don't have the conversations behind closed doors. John Davis has already said he's going to cooperate. With more information, I think it may be a strong case against Brett Favre, and they may actually press forward, but right now it's still a bit of a question mark.
So, what does that legal defense for Favre even look like in a case like this, Brian?
It's difficult, but I think his attorney, Bud Holmes, is already kind of putting it out there. Like, if you and I said, hey, ABC, if you're going to pay us, I don't really want the public to know, that seems fishy. But I think what he's putting forward is Brett Favre is this guy that, by all accounts, made about $138 million just playing football. We're not talking about ads and things like that. And maybe, if I was his defense attorney, I'd put, like, he wants to be a humble guy. He doesn't want to show that he's getting money elsewhere to pay for this pet project that inevitably helps his daughter. And I think that's the defense, but how laughable or how true that is going to really measure up to the...
And then now, I'm sure the NCAA is going to look into the volleyball, the volleyball program, the school as a whole. The NCAA is about to go ahead and look into that now. Now that it's major news now they're about to look into that, and now that's about to be a whole thing by itself. So, as I said, man, I hope that the coverage for this continues, and I hope it gets larger and large enough to where there can be like a whole big entire case, and hopefully justice prevails, because there's no way nobody is above you know their judgment. Nobody is above their judgment. If you do something wrong, you should take your consequences with that, and everybody involved in this should take their consequences. You did something. You took money out of needy families' hands and pockets, and that money could have been used for good and not greed within people who are already in a bigger tax bracket than a whole, like, state like Mississippi. So